so sad? You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another afternoon, another day of broadcast mediocrity here on the National Racing Network. My name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us here as the stars and cars of the Grand Prix Legends Series are going to be coming to take on the Mid-Ohio Sportscar Course. Place that is just absolutely fantastic. Love when we get to come out here to Mid-Ohio. Let's take a look here and tell you a little bit about the racetrack as we get ready to roll here. Located in, well, it says Lexington, Ohio. It's probably the closest spot you're going to find is the town of Mansfield, I believe, is going to be what the closest is. But 2.25 miles in length, 3.62 kilometers, FIA Grade 2. Track record belongs to Will Power, 1 minute 5.260 at 124.560 miles per hour. These cars have the Cosworth DFV on them as qualifications are just getting ready to roll out onto the racetrack. Let's show you the weather conditions. Partly cloudy skies, air temp is 71, 22 C. Track temp 73 Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius. Wind's going to be fairly calm out of the west at 8/14, depending on which version of the, which formulaic system you want to use to get your math information. As always, you can shout us out in the comments here. Hopefully you enjoy the show as much as we enjoy bringing them to you. With qualifications on the racetrack, let's take a look and pick up the number one of, oh my goodness, Anti Lepisto. You will see the positions pop up next to the drivers' names. Right now they are in the order of car number. Antti Kiranen also out on the racetrack right now, as is Evan Gobdell, Gary Ho, Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado on the racetrack as well. And actually, while we have a second here, let's take a look at the point standings for the Broadcast Championship. After 1 of 12 rounds, Yanni Lehman leading Seb Alexander, Thomas Tuba, Jerry Lee Sweetland, Jan Stephen, and Sergey Reyes. Utilizing the point standings that were in place back in 1968, the drivers are going to get a couple of drop weeks. Oh, our buddy Seb's checking in. What's up, Seb? Huh. 90210 is checking in as well. Mid-Ohio just feels right with these cars. I would agree with that. This place is fun to watch race cars at. Now, you guys let us know what you want to see. The graphics package obviously is made to look a little bit old, like you would have seen on screen back in the 1960s. However, we can still do all of the side-by-side boxes and all that kind of stuff here. So, if we wanted to, it is a definite possibility here that we could do something like this and give you the side-by-side looks, kind of keep the graphics plain. We want the show to be about you guys. You tell us what you like, what you want to see. Until I hear otherwise, though, I'm going to keep this looking old school. We at least got rid of the CRT overlay on it. I had a massive headache after last week's broadcast. First lap's coming up onto the scoreboard. Let's turn it on here. And Antti Kiranen picking up fast lap thus far. 1 minute 22.362 seconds over the line for Antti Lepisto. And he goes quick time 121.689 seconds. See, looks like this is Antti Kiranen. He's a little bit further along on his qualification run. So we'll at least flip back and forth between the two guys that are up front thus far. Salgado currently third, Gobdel fourth, and Steve Morris rounding out the top 5. 14 cars on the entry list. Taking a look at the iRacing official point standings, Yanni Lehman holding the points lead currently as it stands entering this race on 246 points. Gary Ho second at 214, Topi Kortaniemi third at 211. But Gary Ho is a guy that I feel like we absolutely have to talk about here. Let's pick him up quickly as he is coming around to complete lap number 1. Only 2 weeks into the season, Gary Ho has 31 starts in the Grand Prix Legends car. 15 wins, 23 top 5s. Oh, and he's going to spin it around in the keyhole off track. That will be the end of the qualifying run as Antti Lepisto goes to the top of the speed charts. Let's see who else we have here. Let's pick up Jorge Nieva, currently in the 5th position. Yeah, I'm just absolutely floored. Gary Ho has turned 156 laps in only 2 weeks. And remember, last week was the Nordschleife, so they only ran 5 laps a shot or 6 laps a shot. He's led 100 of those 156. The other guy that we got to give a shout out to, he is not in this field, but Topi Kortaniemi. 2 starts, 2 wins, 2 top 5s. You know the drill. He's completed 10 laps, so he led every lap that he's competed in. 1 incident in those 2 races around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Oh, hold on to it. Nice save. God, I love watching these cars. Jorge Nieva. Big time sideways. Board Game Geek on the side of that car as he comes down over the start-finish line to complete his qualification run. Nieva will stay in position number 5. And I think the last car to come around will be the car of Gary Ho. Let's pick him up. 90210 says he likes the old school / Goodwood style. I do too. It just feels like it fits the cars. The next show coming up for the Lotus 79 is kind of the same deal. We got rid of the CRT overlay, but other than that, the broadcast is going to very much look the same. And again, this is what looks to be the final car to take time. Richard Covington has not been out on the racetrack yet, but with only 50 seconds left, he won't get a lap in. Arthur Hessler completing 1 lap and did not score, and that looks like it may be it for qualifications here, as Gary Ho is going to be in the 9th position to start this race. So again, you're watching the wide world of esports Grand Prix Legends Series coming to you from the Mid-Ohio Sportscar Course. Talked a little bit about the point standings. We told you a little bit about Mid-Ohio. Tell you a little bit about the race cars as well. Built by Lotus in England, the aluminum monocoque is really known for that third line. The Cosworth DFV 3-liter V8 that became one of the most, if not the most, legendary motors, engines in the history of motorsports. Because it wasn't only the DFV F1 engine, but you also had the DFX, the DFY, that powered the Indy cars as well. That Cosworth motor was absolutely incredible. The other number to look at is the power to weight ratio, 1/3 of a horsepower per pound. That's higher than the 410 sprint car that we see on the ovals that we talk about being absolutely insane for how powerful that car is. These cars are wicked to try to get around the racetrack. Fields coming out onto the grid. Let's get you the starting lineup quickly before they are ready to roll here. Lining up on the front row will be Antti Lepisto, lining up alongside of Antti Kiranen. Row number 2 is going to have Evan Gobdel and Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado. Row 3, Jorge Nieva and Yuri Gijin. Row number 4, Matthew Maudsley and Steve Morris. Row 5 will have Gary Ho and Tomas Tuba. Row number 6, Cam Porter and Jerry Lee Sweetland. And on row number 7 will be Richard Covington and Arthur Hessler. Both of those cars not getting a time in qualifications. Standing starts as always here in Grand Prix Legends. You're going to see a lot of that coming up today, well, at least in the next race here for the Lotus 79s. Also coming up tonight for the overnight viewers in Europe. Oh, hold up. It's about time to go racing. Crank it up and enjoy, folks. Grand Prix Legends ready to roll. Man alive, are these cars just a blast to watch here under the bridges. Up through the S's and down towards Thunder Valley. All the way through that very long carousel. Is there a way to mod the fans in the stands because they're wearing the incorrect attire? No, there is not. A couple of early issues here. Let's take a look and see if we can see what happens. Steve Morris having an issue. Looks like Jerry Lee Sweetland also having an early issue. Both of those cars just having a couple of we'll just say mild off tracks. They have both come back onto the race course. Love that view from down into the grandstands. Richard Covington having a spin on the racetrack as well. All these guys are going to be towards the back of the pack. Antti Lepisto holding on to the race lead. Antti Kiranen battling Jorge Nieva. They're going to be separated by about a half second. Another good fight, a little bit deeper in the pack here. Yuri Gijin and Matthew Malsey. They're going to have Evan Gobdel just ahead of them on the racetrack. For those of you that are not absolute social media addicts, the iRacing Facebook page, about a half hour or so ago, posted a screenshot of what looks like a session development, session creation user interface that included the word rain and a selector for what time of day the light rain will be appearing. So it looks like it is sooner than later that rain will be coming to the iRacing platform. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's get the comment in here from Seb. Standing starts with this car must be a handful. Everything with this car is a handful. There's a reason it's one of my favorite cars on the platform. I can't drive it worth a damn. But my goodness, it's fun to drive, though. Richard Covington now on pit lane. Looks like his race will be over. Race leader Antti Lepisto now holding a 1.5, almost 1.6 second advantage over Antti Kiranen. Jorge Nieva, Evan Gobdel, and Yuri rounding out your top five. We showed you the broadcast championship standings. The other one that we're working on is putting together standings for a Nations Cup. Let us know your thoughts on this. I'm going to be asking this question on each of the races broadcast today as Antti Kiranen sets new fastest lap, almost 100 miles per hour, average 155 and change kilometers per hour. Would you like to see a Nations Cup covering all of the broadcasts that we do, since we now have a variety of things? Silver Crowns, the US Open wheel stuff, plus the European splits for Lotus 49s, Lotus 79s, and the Camel GT on Friday afternoons in the happy hour show. That might be kind of neat. Get everybody in their natural time zones and then see which country, not which club, but which country is going to perform best. I have a feeling that may end up being kind of a runaway for the United States, but at least you can standing start these, unlike the V. Yeah, I can agree with that. This battle sitting right about 2.5 car lengths between Gijin and Maudsley. Man, through the carousel there is just so tricky. Another new fastest lap for Antti Lepisto. Here's the check-in from Seb to answer that question. Heck yeah, on the Nations Cup. I kind of had a feeling that might be the answer here. But 90210. I remember doing a standing start in my 1200V IRL once, then rebuilding the diff because it split itself. Yes. Oh yeah, Julian Altena checking in. What's going on, buddy? He says nerds. Quite possibly. I would expect that more out of Matt Wagner, though. Oh, big overshoot by Salgado. He's going to be off. I don't know if he made contact or not, but he's going to at least lose a couple of positions, and he's going to elect to stay out on the racetrack. So Salgado back to the 10th position. And, man, that overshoot absolutely scared everybody. Now Jorge Nieva battling Evan Gondel. That's going to be the fight for the 3rd and the 4th position, not even in the same postcode as the Apex. Yeah. Little too much thunder down there in Thunder Valley. How about that battle, though, between Gijin and Maudsley? Maudsley. My God, I can't even read. What is wrong with me today? Julian Altena says he's visiting the misses tonight and got 9th in Lionheart last night. I will say congratulations on the good run in Lionheart. Still one of the most difficult leagues to perform well in. Is Lionheart the best league on iRacing? That's a great question. What is the best outright league on iRacing? I think Lionheart might be close to that. We'll discuss that tomorrow during the Camel GT Happy Hour, 5 o'clock in the East. If you're in Europe, just subtract 5 from it, I guess, or add 5 to it. Oh, man, Julian, he's asking, are we coping without the IndyCar racing action? This is hard, man. The word we got was it's not officially like you're not allowed to do it. iRacing is asking the broadcasters to cooperate and not do it because they don't want to get the legal hassles that come with it. We're willing to abide by it, but I don't know that we're going to go another season here, at least until they update the broadcast agreement. Seeing it's certainly the highest level for a fixed setup IndyCar league. Yeah, see, that's my question, is like in terms of outright leagues, Lionheart is one of those, like, the kind of standard bearers for great league racing. Always big fields, crazy deep. It's a good question. This battle going on for the 5th and 6th position, sitting at about 2/10. If we go back another 4 seconds or so down the road, we'll pick up this fight. This is going to be Cam Porter, Tomas Tuba, Gary Ho, and Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado. These 4 all nose to tail battling for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. You're not missing anything at the head of the field here, though, as Antti Lepisto is out to a 2.4 second lead over Antti Kiranen. Jorge Nieva another 2 seconds back of that. Oh, thinking about a dive up the inside was Gary Ho. Hold up there on that move, though, as Maudsley slides a little bit wide. That's going to close the gap even further. Sorry, that was Tomas Tuba sliding a little bit wide. Man, Tuba going to slide a little bit wide again. As Lepisto goes back. Fastest lap, 97.5 miles per hour over 157 kilometers per hour. Oh, he is blitzing this place. Still with 16 laps to go, it appears that everybody is on the minute. Looks like Arthur Hessler may be off the racetrack. He did not even make the start of this one. Richard Covington in 13th place is 5 laps behind the race leaders. Is still on the racetrack, though. Yeah, you know what? This is. Let's get this comment up from Julian on screen here. I have to say Lionheart did lose a bit of its edge without the broadcasting, but the level is still extremely high. I'm afraid that's what's going to happen to all the IndyCar leagues. And I'll say the name of it. I'm not like doing this whole redacted car thing, although it is pretty common. It just seems like if you want to, the best leagues are those that can be broadcast in some way, and there's just nothing there for these guys. This race has only seen one leader, and it has been Antti Lepisto. Started first, running first, fastest lap. On pace for the Grand Slam here, because I believe he was quickest in practice as well. He's having a very good run. Just back behind that orange machine will be Antti Kiranen. Same deal, started second, running second, very calm race for the pilot of car number 3. Not too far behind, though, is Jorge Nieva. He's about 1.1, 1.2 seconds back. Evan Gobdel running in the 4th position, down 1 after starting 3rd. And these guys are all going to be kind of nose to tail, especially that battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. As the lap traffic finally moves out of the way, but we're going to have an interesting run here for these. Now, interesting question here. This would be a piece of news to me. My question on that subject is, how is the contract still valid when that other game company is filed for bankruptcy? I don't think Motorsport Games has officially filed. They completed a reverse stock split. But yeah, no official bankruptcy yet on the, at least from Motorsport Games anyway. Gosh, what a good battle this is, man. Jorge Nieva and Evan Gobdel. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th. Good fight through the carousel. Antti Lepisto again goes fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 21.589. Yeah, that's what I thought. Seeing the comment from Julian that Motorsport Games got a little bit more financial backing. I don't necessarily know the source of that money, but they have not declared bankruptcy. And even if they did, the business still exists. The contracts are all still valid. Somebody is going to buy that studio for pennies on the dollar. I don't know if that's going to be iRacing, if that could be Electronic Arts. With EA now owning the F1 license, it might make a little bit of sense for them to pick up the Motorsport Games, who has the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the IndyCar series. There is definitely, and NASCAR as well, there's definitely some, at least logic to EA trying to buy that studio, especially if they can get it on the cheap. But I agree with you, 90210. He says on Twitch, he says, please not EA. I don't want an air quotes new IndyCar game every single year. Yeah, new game with, it's going to cost you $19.99 to buy, and approximately $6 million is microtransactions. Antti Lepisto coming back over the start-finish line to put another lap on the board. down to 12 laps to go. Take a look at the race summary here as we are at the halfway point. One lead change, one leader, no lead changes, obviously no cautions. And Lepisto holding on to the fastest lap of the race at 1:21.589 seconds. Still better than Train Simulator 21 or 18. Oh, just brutal, some of the stuff that comes out of the EA studios. Would you like all the DLC? $9,000, please. It kind of sounds like how much money I spent on iRacing buying tracks today. Speaking of newly purchased racetracks, coming up tomorrow, the Camel GT Series from Jerez. And again, that's going to be crack a cold beverage and enjoy the racing with us. Multiple championship battles in that one. Both GTP and GTO. Plus, we're also doing a combined championship, a la the British Touring Car Championship. So, if you win every race in GTO, you will beat a guy who doesn't win every race in GTP. So the overall champion could be an Audi 90, not a Nissan. Now, looking at the clocks here on this one, if this race does not finish in time to flip over for the Lotus 79s, we'll bring the 79s up on a split screen. You'll be able to see the finish of this race, the start of that race, and we'll put the additional stream up for those of you that are watching on YouTube, and we'll keep both of those feeds live. Twitch, obviously, you guys won't go anywhere, but we should be good. There's usually just enough time to go from the 49s to the 79s. Slide back a little bit here, pick up the 8 of Yuri Gijin. Still fighting with Matthew Maudsley. Lap ago, Jerry Lee Sweetland, coming around Tomas Tuba for the 10th position. That battle is going on about 1 minute behind your race leaders. As far as Tomas Tuba, Steve Morris, both 1 lap. Tuba's 1 lap down, Steve Morris 3 laps down. Richard Covington 5 laps behind the race leaders. Coming up next, it is the Lotus 79s from Watkins Glen. They are running the classic boot layout, so the full boot like you would expect, but without the inner loop chicane. Spectating the race, the last split at 3:30 here Eastern, or 2:30 I guess it was Eastern. Those cars were incredibly fast heading into turn 5. What we now know as the outer loop used to be called the carousel. Definitely going to be a fun one to watch there. Coming up on the number 10 of Steve Morris to put this car 1 lap down. Let's see what other battles we have out here. Go a little bit further back. We'll pick up Cam Porter and Marco Salgado. This is the fight for the 7th position. These cars separated by about 3/10. The lead for Antti Lepisto is up to 5.8 seconds or so. Man, that gap is shrinking pretty quickly, though. Let's take a look here. Possibly, well, no off track either. Steve Morris coming around Tomas Tuba, who is now pit side in car number 11. Let's look and go back up here to Yuri Gijin and Matthew Maudsley, just up ahead of Morris. This fight for the 5th position, sitting at about a half second. Call it 4 car lengths as they make their way out of the keyhole. Marco Hypen in the Lotus 49 Discord saying, can't wait for Grand Prix Legends rain racing. That kind of scares me. These cars are very difficult to drive in the dry. In the wet, borderline silliness is the only word that I can think of. The question, I guess, becomes, when does rain drop? There was always a joke that they would drop it like right before a major endurance event and then run part of that in the rain. I just can't see them doing it before Sebring this weekend. It would have to be tomorrow morning, Eastern Daylight Time. There's no way they drop that bomb on Sebring, do they? It is a rescan. I mean, if there was a track that you could debut rain at, it would be for sports cars at Sebring. There's no way they would do that tomorrow. Too early to be an April Fool's joke, though. And of late, iRacing has been releasing content on April Fool's Day. I believe that's when we picked up the Formula V. Actually, wasn't the Formula V in the Mount Washington Boat Farm that they released on April Fool's Day? Anyway. The gap continues to narrow at the head of the field, but it's 6 seconds separating Antti Lepisto from Antti Kiranen. Jorge Nieva making up a little bit of ground here, though, on Kiranen. Let's take a look at this one. Pick up Kiranen out of the keyhole with 6 to go. See, this is what I'm hoping for. Imagine they set the weather to wet instead of dynamic. Just absolute carnage. Oh, buddy, hold on to it. Wow, big wiggle for race leader Antti Lepisto. That's going to close the gap in, but if Kiranen has to start battling Nieva, it may not make that much of a difference. The tires are definitely going away here. Okay, so Formula V was June of 21, but didn't they announce it on April Fool's Day? And the year before that, they announced Dirt on April Fool's Day, and it was like, hey, no joke, Dirt is coming. No joke, you're going to get the Formula V, if I remember correctly. Imagine hopping into the first 12-hour slot, you have a weather indicator and access to wet tires. God, it sounds like such a dumpster fire. It'll be a dentist's field day at Sebring this weekend if they do it. Man, another big bobble for Antti Lepisto. Oh, that was more than a wiggle that time. Let's get ready to show you this one here on the Hot Shoe Racewear Instant Replay. There's not many of these, but this is your race leader. Just a moment ago, slides the back end out, slides it way off into the grass. He's able to rejoin, but the lead is now down to 4.6 seconds. He lost 2 full seconds in that transaction. Also possibly seeing an issue for Salgado as well. Sliding that race car off into the gravel traps. Kiernan and Nieva still separated by about 1 second, so not much gain. And we somehow found a way to talk about dentists. The last time I was at the dentist, I told them that's why people are scared of them, because they've seen them drive prototype cars. The gap is back expanding at the front of the field, now back up to almost 5 seconds between Lepisto and Kiernan. The gap down to about 7 and change tenths between Kiernan and Nieva for the second position. Fourth place, Evan Gobdel is only about 4 tenths back, maybe a half second back of Jorge Nieva. So this is 2, 3, 4 on the racetrack, all closing in as we're down to 3 to go. Man, it is so much fun to watch these cars just absolutely plant themselves. Take a little bit of a closer look here at Nieva's car, but you watch them accelerate and the car squats down in the back. They get on the brakes, get a little bit of air up over the bridge, and bang, you see the front end just absolutely sit down when they're on the brakes. God, I love the sound these cars make. So now down to 2 to go. Does anybody have the ability to make the move here? Kiernan still holding off Nieva and Gobdel. All of these cars about a half second apart. The gaps are closing. Man alive. Watching the race leader on the second screen here, my goodness, that car is just all over the place. Even these cars, you can see how twitchy they are on corner entry. In terms of sound, seeing a comment from 90210, the DFV does sound amazing. I think the only other thing we need is like that 2003, 2004 F1 car. Like what Juan Pablo Montoya set the fastest lap ever turned in F1 with. Lepisto, fastest lap as the white flag flies. Almost 98 miles an hour for the lap average. Just a tick over 157 kilometers per hour. Oh, hold on to it. Kiernan, Nieva battling into the keyhole. Kiernan able to hold him off. Yes, the 21,000 RPM BMW. That shrieking V10. We need that. We have the IR01. It sounds okay. It sounds good for that matter. But it just needs that old F1 body to go with it. I would also take like the MP44 maybe. The McLaren from 89, 90, 91 time frame. Those cars were great. Or the Williams for that matter. That's my childhood coming back to me. We're down to the final lap of the race though. Lapisto 6.5 seconds up over Kiernan. Nieva's going to be right there. He's within dive bomb distance. Oh man, right there. Out of the final corner, checkered flag in the air. Lapisto gets the win. Over the start-finish line, Kiernan able to hold off Nieva. But Antti Lapisto picks up the win at Mid-Ohio. The number one all the way to victory lane. Once again, great race from the Lotus 79s. I got to say a huge thank you to the Lotus 49 community for coming out to support this race. I know this is, we kind of cherry-picked the time slot that was not the main SOF race. That one you can catch on, I believe, Saturday on GSRC. There is Antti Lapisto, your race winner here at Mid-Ohio. Let's take a look at the race results by 6.8 seconds over Antti Kiernan, Jorge Nieva rounding out the podium. Evan Gobdel, Yuri Gijin, Matthew Maudsley, Cam Porter, Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, Gary Ho, and Jerry Lee Sweetland rounding out the top 10. Final four finishers, all 3 or more laps down. That's going to be Steve Morris, Richard Covington, Tomas Tuba, and Arthur Hessler. Hessler not even actually making it out onto the starting grid, but as always, a fantastic race by the Grand Prix Legends. And it's only going to be about 12 minutes or so until we get to the Lotus 79s. Give it just a moment here, and we'll see if any of the drivers come in here to pick up an interview. But let's see. Not seeing anybody dropping in just yet. So with that, then, I think we're going to get ourselves on out of here. This has been a fantastic show to kick off the second week of our Thursday quadruple header here on the National Racing Network. Don't go anywhere. Next up, take a look for it on YouTube. It'll be the Lotus 79s, the Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series, coming to you from Watkins Glen International. Tonight, it's Oval Week for U.S. Open Wheel C and D Class cars, coming to you from USA International. That one's going to be a blast. Love Oval Week for those cars. Tomorrow, it is the Camel GT Happy Hour show. You'll find that one at, I believe it is 5 p.m. in the East, Eastern Daylight Time. Nissan GTPs, Audi 90 GTOs, going to be a great show. Don't want to miss that one. Coming up on Saturday and Sunday, real-world racing action with the Spec Corvette Series coming to you from the great state of California. Live real-world racing and almost entirely onboard footage. You don't want to miss the C5 Corvettes doing absolutely disgusting things to these cars. Very little permitted in the way of modifications. They sound epic. We can't wait to bring them to you. But with that, let's get on out of here and head on over to the Lotus 79s. For everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will talk to you all in just a few minutes. See you later, everybody.